Love you too.
Okay. Going live after this bizarre night of boxing. All right. Who's on right now? Who wants to talk some boxing? So, Tszyu lost his fight, first professional fight. It was a bizarre night. It was a bizarre fight. Um, Jay, I'm in disbelief too. I don't know what to say. You know, they say boxing is the theater of the unexpected, and this was truly the theater of the unexpected. Not don't know what to say. I mean, the first two rounds, it was all Tszyu until that cut, and he literally fought 10 rounds blind, and the commission didn't stop it. He ended up losing a split decision. I am in disbelief. No doubt, it was a hell of a fight. I'll give Fundora this credit. He had a situation that was in front of him, and he fought to that situation. He jabbed. We never saw Fundora fight like that. We never saw him fight like he was 6'6", and he did it tonight when the situation presented itself. So I have to give him credit that he fought the way he did when he had a guy who was blind for 10 rounds in front of him. So you have to give credit to Fundora. And look, Fundora was, I mean, he was bleeding from his nose, from his mouth, from the second round on. So let's give credit to Fundora for having heart, for having guts. Um, uh, the the commission, I don't know what to say. I mean, I've seen fights stop for less. Tszyu obviously was compromised from the second round on, and it was a different fight that he fought. He ends up losing a split decision, and Fundora. What round did Fundora get that blade nose? Fundora was bleeding, I think, from the second round on. I believe it was the second round on, because let's be real here. The first two rounds, Tszyu was dominating. He he was cracking Fundora. I honestly thought this fight was going to be over before the sixth round, but boxing again, it's the theater of the unexpected. This is, I don't know what to say. Jay Rich, yes, you would think there would be a rematch. There should be a rematch, but I don't know if contractually, if Tszyu had a rematch clause. But you see what PBC is doing. Look, I'm wearing these shades because I just think it's a good look. You see what PBC is doing. They're angling this for a Spence Fundora fight. Okay, well, you know what? But this is the effed up sport that boxing is. First of all, Fundora lost his last fight. He got knocked the F out. Yet, in his next fight, as a reward, he gets presented a chance to fight for two belts. Okay? And he wins. So, what does boxing do? Errol Spence, who was dominated, obliterated, knocked the fuck out in his last fight. Now he may get a shot at the unified 154-pound champ, Sebastian Fundora. Such is boxing, so it goes. It's why it's such a fractured sport. It's why it's such an effed up sport, because of nights like this. Fundora should have never gotten a shot. He did. He took advantage of what was in front of him. I give him complete credit because he had a compromised fighter in front of him. He had a guy who was blind for 10 rounds. He was blind. So what does he do? He says, I'm 6'6". I'm going to fight like I'm 6'6", and I'm going to win this fight. Steven, hell of a fight. I tip my hat up to these young. It was a hell of a fight. It really was. On both for both guys, Jay Rich. Both those guys words for that fight. I feel like it would have played out different without that cut, though, of course. But it is what it is. There was a cut, and wow, Jay should be Spence, Tszyu, and Bud. Fundora winners face each other for those belts. Well, uh, watching that fight, the first two rounds, Tszyu was dominant. He was landing some power shots. He had no problems landing power shots, and once that cut happened, his vision was impaired, and you see what happened. I mean, he was a blind fighter for 10 rounds. Tim Tszyu says he's a throwback fighter. He truly is because he was blind. I mean, he couldn't see. He was wiping the blood from his eyes. But look, Fundora, it was an accidental elbow. You can't debate that. It was an accidental elbow. And Fundora did what he should have done. He's 6'6", fighting at 154 with a, I don't know what his reach is, but he had the reach advantage and he used it. He was smart. I will give him credit for that. He fought smart, but I'm shocked that it went 12. I'm shocked that it wasn't stopped sooner because of the blood, because Tszyu was obviously compromised. He could not see, but I don't know. Um, Tim, look at it. This is Tim Bradley, Hall of Famer. Let me take these damn glasses off. The fight is supposed to be stopped impaired. Thank you, Tim. Thank you. That's a Hall of Famer talking right there. The fight should have been stopped because of impaired vision, but it wasn't. And Fundora did what he should have done, seeing that the fight wasn't stopped. Tim Bradley, that's a Hall of Famer right there, Tim Bradley. Jay should be Spence, Tszyu, and Bud. Fundora wins face. Yeah. Steven, there was no way they'd stop that fight. This was Amazon's first ever pay-per-view, as far as I know. Yes, it was their first ever pay-per-view. I'll tell you what, I thought the production was poor for a lot of reasons. The production of the fight was poor. I won't get into specifics, but the fact that the main event went off before 11 o'clock, 11 p.m. Eastern time, was a bonus. That was a bonus. I'm glad that they kept the card moving. Jay Rich, the whole card was fire, though. So shout out to PBC, Amazon, Keith Thurman pulling out. Might have been the best thing to happen. LOL, Elijah Garcia, too, which led to Camaro Moore. Look, I didn't see the undercard. I did see the main event card, and the fights were exciting. I'll be honest. I thought that Rolly, I picked him to win. And again, this is why I don't bet on fights, because I'm poor when it comes to this. I thought Rolly had power. I thought Rolly would that power would somehow come to light and he would do something against Pitbull. But guess what? Rolly landed bombs throughout that fight, and never once did he stop. Did he stagger? Did he move Pitbull Cruz? And Pitbull Cruz becomes a champ at 140, ending the short, nondescript reign of Rolly Romero. And with Pitbull Cruz being a champ at 140, this makes 140 an even better division. This makes the 140-pound division an even better division. I wouldn't pick Cruz against Haney, probably against Teofimo, but he's going to make it interesting because this guy's got a hell of a chin. He has got a hell of a chin. He can be outboxed. Tank proved that. Tank proved he can be outboxed. And Devin Haney is a boxer. Teofimo at times is a boxer, but Pitbull, you can't hurt the guy. I have not seen the guy hurt. He's fought Tank. He's fought Rolly. He's gotten bombs landed on him, and he has never moved. So 140 has just gotten better with Pitbull Cruz becoming a champ. Um, Man, Rolly made us look foolish. I'll never put money. He did. But you know, what are you gonna do? I mean, Tank Tank and Rolly are two different fighters. When Tank fought Rolly, he was very wary of the power that Rolly has. Cruz said, "I don't give a buck. I don't give a buck about your power. Hurt me." And Rolly could not hurt him. And Rolly cracked him with right hand after right hand after right hand. He never once stopped Cruz from coming forward. I honestly don't think Rolly's going to fight again. I think it took a lot to get Rolly back in the ring for this fight, and I don't think he's going to fight again, but that's just me. But now 140 is even better. Cruz versus Matias, run it. Hey, I'm with it. I'm with it. Listen, that might be the best fight to make at 140. If you're talking about an all-action fight, I'm not talking about the two best fighters at 140. But if you're talking about an all-action fight, Cruz and Matias, I mean, Matias doesn't back up. Cruz doesn't back up. Something's got to give. And if nothing gives, then you have got a war. Oh, man. That is right there. Boxing analysts, please let's run that fight. Let's run that fight. Engineers to the streets. Absolutely. Pitbull is relentless and extremely durable. Super lightweight. Man, like I said, this made 140 even better. And this is the best division in the sport of boxing. I mean, it's not even close. It's not even close. 140 is the best division in the sport. Oh my God, George. Yeah, I listen. 140 is the best division is the best division in the sport. But I'll go back to something I said when the year started. My fear as a boxing fan was you got Devin Haney, you got Tank. I know Tank's 135, but he's 142. You got Devin Haney, Tank, Shakur, Tiafimo, Subriel. Now you got to throw in Pitbull Cruz. That's 6 guys. We are in almost April. None of these top guys have fought each other. There are too many undefeated fighters in this sport, in this division. Look at the 4 kings. Look at the 4 kings. Go back to history. Look at the 4 kings. None of those guys was undefeated. None of those guys was undefeated. Why? Because they fought each other. My fear, we're going to go through a whole year. Ryan Garcia is not elite. He is not in this list. But I give Ryan Garcia credit. He fought Tank. Now he's fighting Haney. He's going to get beat by Haney. That's just a fact. It's going to happen. But these top fighters, my fear is we're going to go through a whole year, 2024, without one of these elite fighters fighting each other. Subriel Matias has a fight set up. I've never heard of the guy he's fought. I'm sorry. I'm not Dan Rafael. I don't know every single fighter in the sport. I don't know who the guy is he's fighting. Teofimo Lopez has a fight coming up that was just signed. I don't really care about it. I want to see these top fighters fight each other. Jay Rich, Terrence Crawford on Twitter saying Errol got to get in line, and looks like a linebacker right now. Look, Errol Spence, this is PBC promoting PBC, and that's why Errol Spence was in the ring. And listen, who's going to be shocked if there's not a rematch clause? Who's going to be shocked if Errol Spence, after getting his ass kicked, gets a title shot? This is boxing. Sebastian Fundora got his ass kicked his last fight, yet he got a shot to fight for 2 belts. I know it came about in a weird way, but regardless, even if if Thurman didn't get hurt, he was still fighting for a belt tonight, which is, this is boxing. This is boxing. Oh man, I need to drop. You know what, man? Let me drop a link in here. Copied. All right, let me drop a link because Tim Bradley's out there. So Tim, if you want to talk, but they have to fight each other. I agree. I agree. Boxing analysts, there are no undefeated fighters in boxing. If they all fight each other, moving up across the ring. Exactly. There's too many. Tim, I'm using your words, Tim. I'm using your words. I watched you on ESPN. You said there's too many guys unbeaten at 140. There are. Why is that happening? Because they don't fight each other. In regards to Ryan Garcia, look, yeah, I'll give Ryan. I'll give Ryan credit. I mean, he's fighting Tank, and now he's fighting Devin, so he's fighting the top guys. I'm surprised Tszyu didn't say anything about running it back. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's no rematch clause. The boxing camera, George. Good day, bro. Good day. Listen, I thought Tszyu to me was on his way to a knockout, but it didn't happen. Fundora came off a knockout loss to get a title shot. Now Spence coming off a KO loss. Listen. I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know. Spence wasn't only knocked out, he was dominated. He was knocked the F out. He was dominated in that fight to the point that a lot of people who are Spence fans said he should never fight again. Yet PBC has him in the ring, and now we're talking about Fundora and Spence. But this is boxing. You have to take it. This is what it is. I mean, it's disgusting. Boxing is disgusting at times. Congratulations to Sebastian. Won it with a jab. He did. Listen, I'm in a text with Paulie Malignaggi and Chris Algieri. We were texting throughout that fight, and I love texting with those guys because I learn in every fight. But I'll say this: Sebastian Fundora. The scenario in front of him was he had a compromised fighter. He had a guy who was bleeding, and Sebastian Fundora said, "Listen, I'm 6'6". I've got the reach advantage, the height advantage. I'm going to use it." And he fought smart. I can't discredit what Sebastian Fundora did. Should the commission have stopped it? I think so. You had a blind fighter. Look at the first two rounds. Run when you watch this fight again, look at the first two rounds, then look at the last 10. They were remarkably different fights because you had a fighter who could see and was dominating. Then you had a fighter who was blind and couldn't see against a guy 6'6". So, engineers of the street. Yes, my heart goes out to Tszyu, a true warrior. He just had a series of unfortunate events transpire. Everything from Thurman's injury to getting a gruesome injury super early after looking good. What was Zeus supposed to do? I mean, he fought his heart out. He did as well as he could do being compromised. Helps if yeah, it does. Do you think Spence will be shot to bits? Look, he got dominated in his last fight. You won't hear Tim make any excuses. You're right. Tim is a stand-up guy. Listen, there's a link out there. So if anyone wants to jump on, I was hoping my man Tim Bradley would jump on, but uh, you know, maybe Tim is busy. But if anyone wants to jump on and talk some boxing, talk about tonight, there's the link. Oh man. All right, here we go. Boxing Scholar. Boxing Scholar, I see you.
What's good, man?
And for some reason, hmm,
You done put me on the big screen. What happened, George? You press Control Alt Delete, man. Wow. So I'm looking at myself, George. I think you put yourself backstage. You got to add yourself back, or maybe I don't know what's going on. Okay, until George figure it out, I'll just say this. Man, that was a good night of fight. This is the first time I've ever been wrong on two big fights back to back. So made this. Uh, Errol Spence, I knew that they was gonna pull some bullshit with him getting in the ring afterwards and potentially get a fight. I know Bud was petitioning for the belts, but I mean you could wish in one hand and put you know what else in the other, and because Deontay Wilder made Dylan White sit on a mandatory for 2 years, so who knows what these sanctioning bodies is gonna do. So I know what he's trying to do as far as chess goes, but I would like to see Fundora versus Bud. But yeah, I mean, boxing's showing us the politics reign over everything because Fundora coming off a loss was able to get a title shot. Errol Spence coming off a knockout loss to Bud could potentially get a title shot. So it seems the message is, I mean, just have the right politics. It don't matter if you lose, you can get a title shot. Business of boxing is always going to prevail. So it is what it is with that. But Fundora looked like he was going to get stopped. I predicted the stoppage before the cut. The cut definitely played a factor in the fight. He couldn't see. And Fundora was able to use his jab. He was able to fight tall for the first time, you know what I mean, ever that I've ever seen him. I think